I call her back.
It's good to see you.
Wow, yeah, how you doing, man? Good to see you, sir.
And that's young.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so glad to see so many here today. It is my honor to begin today's celebration and commemoration of Mrs. Dorothy Smith. Welcome to all of you, our distinguished community members, our school board member, Shirley Brown, our director of elementary schools, Christopher Renoff, and our superintendent, Dr. Brennan Asplin. As the current principal at the helm of this beautiful school, I am blessed to be able to share with our Southside School and our community what I have learned about Mrs. Smith and her historic accomplishments and impact, especially to our curious students who will undoubtedly want to know more about the woman who they see on the plaque at the front of our school. Dorothy Smith was a remarkable educator and leader. She began her teaching career at Emma E. Booker Elementary School and later taught at Venice Elementary. Mrs. Smith then served as a county-wide reading teacher, positively impacting several of our schools in this district until she found her way to Southside. In 1971, Mrs. Smith served at the school as the reading specialist, and in that year, she became Sarasota County Schools District Teacher of the Year. That is an incredible accolade, which speaks to the quality of her teaching and her professionalism. In 1972, Mrs. Smith began her tenure as the principal at Southside, where she led students and staff for 11 years. In 1972, there were 13 applicants for the principalship at Southside. It was the year of a terrorist attack at the Summer Olympics in Munich, Germany. The year Agnes, one of the largest and costliest hurricanes at the time, made landfall in Florida's Panhandle, and the year of the Watergate scandal. It had been 10 years since Sarasota County Schools integrated. Now, I can say that I have felt and known the pressure of starting a school year as a principal during a time of societal and global upheaval, but I cannot say that I know the enormous pressure and responsibility Dorothy Smith must have felt as the first African-American principal at Southside, the first African-American female principal in our post-segregated community. Even through the span of time, we share similarities in our career paths, professional experiences, and accomplishments. Mrs. Smith was a true trailblazer for all women of all races. I can only hope to continue to enact the high standards in my role as principal of Southside, just as Mrs. Smith so clearly articulated to an interviewer in 1972. She said, "I can assure everyone concerned that continued quality education will be the order of the day at Southside." These were important words and powerful words then and continue to be today. Thank you for the honor to celebrate with you and commemorate Mrs. Dorothy Smith. Now, would you please welcome to the podium Walter Gilbert from Newtown Alive.
Good afternoon.
Give yourself a hand. I want to thank everybody for coming out. Thank you, Madam Principal. Thank you, school board representatives, for being here. This has been a labor of love, and I truly mean that. To honor Mrs. Smith is a lifelong thing I've been doing. Mrs. Smith was my 6th grade teacher. And as all of you can attest to, you all have a teacher that you remember. You all have a teacher that made a difference in your life. Mrs. Smith was that teacher for me. I love Shakespeare because Mrs. Smith took us to the arsenal. I learned to use chopsticks because Mrs. Smith took us to some Chinese restaurants here locally at a time when you couldn't really go to some of these restaurants. I love museums because she took us to museums, and I could go on and on. I know about African dynasties because Mrs. Smith taught us those things. She was a progressive teacher. What Mrs. Smith and other teachers that was teaching us in that segregated system that we was in was that that system was not for long. They were progressive enough to know that the system that they had came up in was not the system we were going to be living in. And she and other teachers like her did things to prepare us to live not only in Newtown, but in the world. That's the type of teacher that Mrs. Smith was. And I love her today for that. And that's the biggest reason. I said, I want to go do that. That's the biggest reason that this means so much to me. I want to thank everybody that helped make this possible because this thing didn't just jump up on the wall because we wanted it to. There were donations and fundraising and everything that took place. And for those of you that helped us out, thank you so much. I can go on and on with names, but I didn't make a list, so I would leave somebody out, and I don't want to get that phone call tomorrow. You know how y'all get. But thank you for everybody that gave to help make this possible. Your efforts are very much appreciated. So I can keep talking, but I won't. I know. I won't, because I'll be crying some more, so we're going to go on with the program. I'll turn it back over to the principal. Once again, thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Walter. Now we have special guest Spencer Bryant, the brother of Mrs. Dorothye Smith. Spencer.
Good afternoon. It's similar to Mr. Gilbert. When I would spend the summers with my sister, she would require me to read. She had a bookstand by the front door, and the book that was there was How to Read, To Kill a Mockingbird. And if anyone were to come by the house, they would find that that book is still on the stand at the front door. I read some of it this morning. And the last night of her life, we sang a song together by a gentleman, a gospel singer, John P. The name of the song was You Don't Know My Story. I'm going out to visit her tomorrow to let her know Her story is alive and well and in good hands. Thank you.
All right, please welcome Danny Frazier Brown, former staff member of Mrs. Smith.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We need to make a correction on this. I was never Dot's former staff member. I was her former coworker. We were closer to the same age, so she was never going to be a staff member for me. Jennifer, you stole all of my thunder. So I hope you don't mind me repeating some things that Jennifer has said about Dot. And for those people who know Dot as Mrs. Smith, I'm going to ask you to forgive me. I don't refer to her as Mrs. Smith only if we are in a social crowd or if we are around students. She was a friend, so she was Dottie, and I was Danny. And that's the way we did for 4 years at Booker Elementary. I came here in 1961. Probably most of you were not born. But I came here as a 5th grade teacher, and Dot was on the campus of Booker Elementary, and she was assigned to 6th grade. During those days, we had 2 weeks prior to school opening for planning and pre-planning. We had 1 week on campus and 1 week, 4 days of that second week during the county workshops and meetings. Dot, the very first day of school, we had a staff meeting. And we had to introduce ourselves. When Dot discovered that I was the new teacher from Alabama, she told the staff members, she says, I'm going and sit beside the new teacher from Alabama. And a 56-year friendship was developed. Dot was my mentor the 4 years I was working on the campus with her. She assisted me in getting my class list, my room set up, my bulletin boards done, because I was the new teacher from Alabama. The second week of school, we had 4 days countywide black and white teachers. She did the driving the first 4 days of that meeting because she knew the area. I didn't have to drive, so she informed me that she was finished driving, that I would be the driver for the next countywide meeting. I said, okay, that's not a problem. Just before we got home, she asked me, Danny, will you meet me on campus an hour early tomorrow? I said, why? She replied, because I want to make sure you're ready. I told her, I said, Dot, I may be new to Sarasota, but I have as much experience, probably as you have, in meeting parents. She said, well, I just want to make sure you're ready because tomorrow is parent-teacher day, week today. Well, she subsided her way. She turned around and she said, well, have it your way. I'm here to meet you. I said, okay. For the next 2 or 3 weeks, she would leave a note on my desk or in my school mailbox and tell me, Dottie is here if you need me. We normally think of Dot as being the first African-American president. And she was. But Dot had a lot of other places before she became the president here. She was the first African-American to integrate to Jacksonville University, where she obtained her reading certification. She was the first to integrate the Venice Elementary School. to this campus, and she was the first to integrate this campus. She then became the principal of this campus, and as you said, I had forgotten, she was here 11 years. I didn't realize it was that long. But the work that Dot did in Sarasota County was minimum to what she did in her community. She was an avid person when it came to Newtown, when it came to children, when it came to helping others. I have listed some of the boards that she was on. If you look at her resume, it looks like former President Obama's resume with a few added in. She was everywhere, and she did it all gracefully and with a smile. I'm going to read about 6 of the ones that I love. She received the NAACP Lifetime Achievement Award. She was named Miss Sarasota Senior Citizen. She received the Medal of Honor from the Sons of American Revolution. She has a bronze plaque at the Fred Atkins Park. She was the Newtown community historian because she never forgot anything. She was honored at the Bethune-Cookman University during one of their graduations for her achievements. She received a Distinguished Service Award from the J.H. Floyd Sunshine Manor. At that time, it was our nursing home. She was instrumental in creating the Booker High School Historical Room. She received an outstanding award for Educator of the Year. She was a 4-year member of the Sarasota Housing Authority. And the one that I really liked best was the Civil Service Board. I was reading the newspaper one night and I saw where they wanted applications. They wanted you to come get an application to fill it out and become a board member. And I called her and I said, Doc, let's go. By that time I had retired. I said, let's go, Doc. She said, okay. I said, I'll pick them up. The next day I went and picked them up. We went to her home, we filled them out. And when I got home, for some reason, I decided to read that article again. And it said, City of Sarasota. I called her and told her, Doc, I can't apply because I am county and you are city. She said, girl, you know that in the beginning. And every time they had a meeting, Dr. called me and said, Danny, Dottie is going to your meeting. But I believe that Dot, with all of her accomplishments, both in Sarasota County School System, Sarasota as a citizen, and especially Newtown, Dot should be among the great citizens of this county because all of us were blessed to have her with us. And we were honored to be a friend to her. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and it was such a joy to hear all those extra pieces of information that I didn't know, so thank you so much. All right, next we have Duana Washington, President of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Good afternoon, everybody. As she said, I'm Duana Washington. I'm the proud president of the Bradenton chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. But I'm also very proud to say I hope, in my own way, I'm carrying on the legacy of Mrs. Smith, because I too am a teacher at Emma Booker Elementary where she started. And I'm proud to say I've been there for years. On January 13th, 1913, 108 years ago, Delta Sigma Theta was founded by 22 collegiate women at Howard University. These women wanted to use their collective strength to promote academic excellence and to provide assistance to those in need. So, March 1913, the founders of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated performed their first public act. They participated in the Women's Suffrage March in Washington, D.C. Their first public act was one that would benefit others way before it would benefit them. But that's what Delta women do. Do you recognize these names? Mary McLeod Bethune, Ruby Dee, Shirley Chisholm, Barbara Jordan, Aretha Franklin, Loretta Lynch, Cicely Tyson, all Delta women. Dorothy Smith, a Delta woman. My sister, my soror. My soror was a trailblazer, willing to challenge the norms, to be on the front line, to stand in the gap, and to set the standard. By being the first African-American principal of a school in Sarasota post-desegregation, Dorothy Smith empowered not only her community, she empowered Sarasota. Understanding the importance of her position, she was willing to confront the challenges she would face. She had a mission to serve, and she did it all with love. Soror Smith was extraordinary, HBCU educated and motivated. A Delta Sigma Theta woman, sharing her gifts and talents with others so that others would benefit, even if it might not benefit her. The members of Bradenton alumni are proud to call her our own. And we are filled with pride that she is receiving this well-deserved honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And next we have our school board chair, Ms. Shirley Brown.
Hello, everyone. She said I'm Shirley Brown, chair of the school board, and I'm proud to serve the community as chair. I'd also like to point out one of my fellow board members, Tom Edwards, in the audience. It's special for me to be here because I had a granddaughter that attended there, and she has her first year at George Washington University, and I just found out yesterday she had put on the dean's list. But my daughter started her teaching career over at Emma Booker, Washington knows, and now she's over at Philippe Shores. But she's one of those teachers I think that is making a difference. As we're celebrating Mrs. Smith today, and that's I think we should celebrate the successes, but we also have a few scabs to pick, because I heard from former Mayor Roy McBean, who was also principal, that when there were principal meetings, and I don't know if it was still happening when Dowdy was principal, but he said when they came and they had their meetings and they had their lessons and they were learning the education, but when they broke for lunch, the black principals had to go upstairs to a separate place to have their lunch. I can't help it. You're right. So it was Dorothy. I can't help but think that she said, "Oh, hell no," and helped make that change happen. But we're here today to celebrate and to recognize Ms. Dorothy Smith, our school district's first African-American principal of a district post-segregation. Now more than ever, it's crucial for our community to know, recognize, and appreciate all its history. This includes the tremendous contributions of our Afro-American teachers, our school-based leaders, and district leaders. It's incredibly special for us to be celebrating Mrs. Smith right now, as we are also celebrating Black History Month. Our curriculum teams have put together numerous resources to engage and inspire our students, but arguably no resource is more tangible than our community's very own Newtown Alive. We are so thankful for their diligent work to promote and preserve African American history in our region. I remember when we started. On behalf of Sarasota County Schools, thank you for partnering with us and allowing Southside Elementary to serve as a destination of the Newtown Alive Trolley Tour. We are honored to be part of celebrating and remembering Mrs. Dorothye Smith. Now please join me in welcoming our superintendent, Dr. Brennan Asprin, to share a few remarks.
Thank you, Ms. Brown, and I'll take this off. Thank you, Ms. Brown, I appreciate that. And good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see all of you, and I must say, being new to the community and being able to meet quite a few people in the community, I just want to say thank you to everybody. The community's been so hospitable to myself and my wife, Mary Ellen, and I just really do appreciate that. We see Principal Dr. Shelley. Hello, good to see you. And we have another, yes, Principal Edwina Oliver. Thank you for being here today, too. I do want to thank Trevor Harvey as well. He was one of the first people that really greeted me when I came to Sarasota, and we've been to lunch and dinner a couple times, getting to know each other, and I do really appreciate you, Trevor. Thank you very much. Just also, real quickly, I just want to thank the school and Ms. Nzenza and your administration and everyone who helped organize this event today, so I appreciate that. I know Mr. Gilbert, Ms. Owen, thank you at Newtown Live, so thank you very much for all you've done. So again, thank you for being here today to memorialize one of our distinguished Sarasota County Schools principals. As the superintendent of our school district, I am truly honored to be a part of this unveiling ceremony as we celebrate the accomplishments of Ms. Dorothye Smith, the first post-desegregation African-American principal in Sarasota County. The principalship is very, very challenging. Very challenging. It's a tough leadership position. And Mrs. Smith, I must say, was a very special person to have set the precedent for many other principals to follow here in Sarasota County. Mrs. Smith was known for her sense of compassion, high expectations, and inspirational nature as a teacher and as a principal. Her fortitude and grace inspired all who interacted with her, both personally and professionally. Mrs. Smith made her mission to uplift minds and hearts every day as she led by example and poured limitless energy into her students, colleagues, families, and friends. She was an educator who provided a high-quality education with the utmost integrity, making a positive difference in the lives and futures of her students. This beautiful plaque that we're about to unveil marks her legacy and the history of our local community, our school district, and especially Southside Elementary School. It's so important that our students will be reminded of Dorothye Smith's impacts each morning when they enter the doors of this school. Additionally, her accomplishments will be highlighted in the community on the Newtown Alive Trolley Tour, which I think is amazing. I've had the opportunity to meet Mr. Gilbert and Ms. Odom and get to know them a little bit, and I want to just say that we are proud to partner with Newtown Alive, and we look forward to future opportunities to bring educational enrichment such as this that we have today to our students, families, and community members. I want to say also, although I was not fortunate enough to have known Dorothye Smith, I can assure you that her dedication to students and her impact on Sarasota County schools humbles and inspires each one of us in the school district. And I want to thank you again for allowing us to be part of this special day. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Esplin. All right, and now we're going to have some closing remarks. We're going to start with Vicki Odom, our Director of Newtown Alive.
Find ways to tell our stories. We have lots of catching up to do. We have many stories to tell and many audiences to reach. Many audiences, as we're learning, have never even heard our stories. We need you. We need a coalition to help kill hatred, racism, envy, and ignorance. We want you to share your talents in organizing volunteers, developing programs, making contributions, and promoting our work so that others can give. Dorothye Smith, yes. The part of her that touched me most was that community historian. I'd sit at her feet and listen to her stories. And I'll never forget the way she blushed and she grinned as she talked about going to the Ace Theater on Sundays, Saturday afternoon. And that is where she would meet Jacob Smith, the manager of the Ace Theater. May her legacy live forever. Walter, would you join me? You'd like to make that announcement, yes?
Yeah. As Vicki said, we at Newtown Alive are always looking for the next thing to do, and the next thing and the next thing. So we've got about 5 of those next things that we're doing right now. We are in the process, in conjunction with SAC, we're bringing to our community an exhibit from the Negro Baseball Hall of Fame in Kansas City. And that exhibit is of a homeboy, Buck O'Neal. That exhibit will be housed at the Newtown, I'm old, I still call it Newtown Recreation Center, but that's not what it is anymore. It's the R.L. Taylor Community Center, what is it, Civic Center, whatever, complex, the rec. You know what I'm saying? But it will be there for a month. So we're expecting to open the doors on the 13th and come by and see old Buck's homeboy stuff, all right? Couple other things we got, and the announcement, and I didn't tell Vicki till last night because she gets crazy when I tell her another one of my wild ideas. But to keep Mrs. Smith going, her legacy, her memory, we're going to initiate the Dorothye G. Smith Kids to the Museum initiative. As I said, she did that for me as a kid. And I think in today's time that is needed even more with our children. So those of you that gave for this, I'm gonna be calling you for that. So just be ready and thank you. You got anything else now? All right, so then let's get to doing what we came here to do, and that's to unveil this honor. Vicki, Superintendent, you want to come up here and yeah, it's your school.
Ready?
The bronze is a saying that I heard every day of my sixth grade life. And I found out from a former teacher here, and by the way, my girls who went to school here, they weren't too happy when they found out Mrs. Smith, who used to be my teacher, was now their principal. But on there is a saying, as I said, that Mrs. Smith said every day, and it was, always do your best. Thank everybody for coming. Feel free to come up and get a close look.